Welcome to Inside the Honors College, where we believe that wisdom and virtue is found when we learn together. Join us as we take an inside look at a community dedicated to educating the next generation of disciples and scholars. I'm Ellie Overman.
And I'm Taina Estevez. And friends, getting to speak with Eimee again was so fun for me. Like she mentioned before, the three of us, Ellie, Eimee, and I, had colloquy first semester. And Eimee and I would have like these small little like random ideas that we would like just text or chat each other with in the middle of colloquy. So getting to sit down in a space and kind of put all of our baby thoughts into one location was so fun. And her perspective and just lens on shifting your mindset on how we're reading the Bible resonated a lot with me also as someone who's grown up surrounded by this kind of Christian environment and how we're supposed to look at the Bible and what that looks like. So just kind of reframing that in an honest perspective and how we are now dissecting as a text the Bible was so insightful.
Yeah, I also really resonated with this like kind of need to be perfect and how I read the Bible. And so reading it like a normal book, like an academic text, has kind of released a lot of the anxiety around it, right? Like in this idea that like God is constant and what is true is constant. And so the pressure is off of us to get it right all of the time. So I just loved getting to hear about that and learning about kind of leaning into the mystery of faith. So I'm really excited for you guys to get to hear from her. Let's hop right into it.
Hello, mi amiga. How are we doing this lovely day?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for this, kind of ready. Yeah.
Good. I am so excited to be here for you. This is only my second interview, so, bear with me. I'm super excited. As long as we have a good time, I think it'll be good. Let's start us off on a nice light note, Eimee. My question for you is if you could live anywhere outside of the U.S., like you had housing paid for, like you had a career set up, however it is, if you could live outside of the U.S. anywhere, where would you live and why?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
So many options.
Yeah, I never thought of like the whole world.
Maybe globally, Eimee.
Yeah. Maybe. Okay, this is gonna be completely random, but maybe Iceland. I know nothing about Iceland. I literally don't know what it's like. I don't know how the housing is like. I know nothing about it, but I think if I could go anywhere and just live with everything set for me, I'd go to Iceland because I like the name.
That is a very good reason to move somewhere.
That is my reasoning. I like Iceland. It just sounds very inviting.
No, it's good because, there's actually the whole thing about Iceland not being icy, but Greenland not being green, so you chose the right one of the two at least. Well, good. Okay, I'm so glad that you have a beautiful life planned out in Iceland for yourself. But bringing us back to our beautiful life here in California, Eimee, can I just get a quick background onto you and your life in honors? How did you hear about it? Why did you decide to go? What made you choose to take the plunge into Azusa Pacific's Honors College?
Yeah. Okay. So I decided to apply to Azusa shamefully as one of my lesser options when I was applying. Yeah. So I decided to apply, and when I did, I got accepted, and I was like, okay, I feel good about this. And then I started getting the emails about, do you want to join honors? You would be a great fit for honors. Join honors. And I was like, what's honors? What's honors? And then I read the emails, and it was like, it's a great way to challenge yourself intellectually, to learn about the bigger picture, talk about the world's biggest questions, like life and everything. And I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. And then they hit us with, you can do a double major because we'll take away the GE requirements for you. And I was like, count me in.
There we go. You had me at 10. I was like, everything else.
I was like, you had me there. And I applied, and then I honestly didn't think I was going to get in because I was a pretty good student in high school, but I kind of slid off the path junior year, so my GPA wasn't like the greatest. So I was like, maybe I get in, maybe I don't. And then I got in, and I got really excited. I don't know why I was excited, but I was really excited. I was like, yeah, honors.
You should be excited. That's fun.
Yeah. And then I got terrified because I didn't know anyone going into Azusa, and I definitely didn't know anyone going into honors. and I was just very lost. But then we got to my first colloquy, and it was amazing. I'm just going to tell you that right now. It was super amazing having everyone just pitch in and their ideas. And it was weird. I would think that people would be kind of like shy to speak out, a bunch of people they don't know. But it wasn't like that. It was just like you were with me in my first colloquy. It was like everyone just dived in. And I was like, okay, I can get used to this. It's a little daunting, but I can get used to it, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's so exciting. I loved our first colloquy first semester as well. I think also just like between our own relationship too, it was always so cool to come back on just like, you know, the Latina connection as well, being able to relate on that for different reasons, you know, that our first colloquy was really good in getting those different perspectives. So I totally agree. In this whole process that you're going through honors, how have you been challenged, you know, through this experience in the honors college? You know, how have you grown specifically, I guess, as a disciple in honors?
Yeah. So a lot of the readings we have are, I didn't really think I would have to read a lot of like philosophy.
Yeah.
And I was like really like, honestly, I was very scared to read about philosophy because like a little background on me, my parents, they're pastors. So they always kind of warned me about philosophy, about how it was easier to just like step off track, you know? But then I was like, you know what? I think it's a great idea. It's a good thing for me to be reading about all these philosophers and also reading about like the Bible and everything and seeing how they compare and how I can take from here and there and just see how I can make this, you know, how I can grow my own faith, taking all my experiences from different places and just seeing how they fit for me. So I think like as a disciple in the honors college, I think I personally had a hard time like just growing in my faith.
Yeah.
Maybe it was because I grew up in the church and I had all this pressure to just to myself. I felt like I had to be perfect. So I think it just took off all this pressure that I can just read the Bible as if it was just a book, you know. And like my professor, Dr. Kern, she always told us like read it as if it was just any other book. And you'll be surprised what you can take and what new things you'll learn from it if you read it like it was just any other book. And I did. I read it like it was any other book. I annotated it. I looked at the Bible. And I was like, wow. I'm learning new things I didn't learn in my 18 years of life. And I'm learning it in like a few months. Right? Yeah. And I was like, that wasn't there before. I swear it wasn't there before. But
yeah,
you know, yeah.
No, that's crazy. I totally hear that. I think it's so cool. One of my favorite things about the honors college like that, specifically with the theological side that we have, is being able to look at the Bible like it is that text, like you were saying, Dr. Kern was saying, you know, like the lens that we look at the Bible when we're looking at it for, you know, just growth is different from saying, I'm going here because I'm trying to grow my faith, you know? These things can happen simultaneously without it needing to be forced. So I totally hear that. That was really cool. Final thing, wrapping up here, just so we can try and see what you have personally been getting out of honors so far. If you were talking to a prospective student, you know, someone who maybe is just on the balance between whether or not they're going to go to honors, what would one thing that you would tell them specifically about the faith component of honors, you know, this interaction with the Bible that they're going to be getting? What would you tell them?
Well, I tell them, you know, it doesn't matter if you're like super strong in your faith or you feel like you're not that into your faith or you don't know where you're going with your life and your faith. I tell them that honors is a great way to just kind of get a feel for how your faith can look like from different perspectives, because that's what we get from the students in the honors college, because not everyone is of our same faith. So everyone has different perspectives. And from those people, you learn why they have that certain faith, you know, and why they don't believe in the same faith as you do. And it just challenges you to grow. You know, I went in thinking, you know, I'm not sure how this is going to affect my faith component, and I'm not sure how this is going to change me, but I'm ready, you know. So I tell them, even if they don't know what they want to do with their life, they don't know how their faith is going to be with them for the rest of their life, you know, it's just a great way to grow as a person and just challenge yourself. And I think it's necessary to challenge yourself as a person in order to grow and just be successful and just being the best you can possibly be, you know?
Absolutely. I totally hear that, Eimee. And then would you have do you have any specific either parts of the Bible that we were reading? Are there any moments that you can think of in colloquy where you really like just that resonated with you? You know, I can think of a few moments in our colloquy, at least this semester, you know, just looking through like the book of Acts. Like there's just stuff about intercultural relationships, about how we relate with community and just each other in our faith. You know, can you think of any time so far, either this semester, last semester, where you've really felt like this is what I'm getting from my faith here? Like, you know, this is something that I'm seeing resembled in the Bible at all. And if not, obviously no pressure. If there's anything you want to speak to that either.
Yeah, okay. So I think looking back on this semester specifically, on our times looking at, what was it? It was John and Luke, where it was talking about the life of Jesus and whatnot. And it was very interesting to see how different culture was back then. Obviously, we know it was a long, long time ago, but it's always very interesting to see how it changes, but at the same time, it doesn't. Because that disbelief people had because of how it's changed culturally for them about Jesus is the same way people react to Jesus now. You know, there's people who still don't believe, and there's people who have their reasons for not believing. And it was the same thing as it was back then. So it was very interesting to see how, even though it was so long ago, it can still somehow apply to today, you know. And I just think it's important to kind of just go through it and just read about it as much as you can in order to learn and maybe take something from it and apply it to life today, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a absolutely beautiful response to my very ambiguous question, but I didn't want to lead you on to the response that I had for that part. So thank you so much for that. I think that's super important. You know, just there's consistency in our faith. You know, it does look different, and obviously there's some contextualization that goes into that.
Yeah.
But you're right. You know, at the end of the day, Jesus is Jesus, and he's going to either meet us where we're at, or, you know, we're going to be transformed or not. And it's about welcoming that space. So I totally love everything you were saying. Thank you so much for being here today, Eimee. Really appreciate you. Really appreciate your story. And, you know, for everyone else that possibly might be debating honors or is trying to, you know, struggle with some of these same faith questions, you know, either reach out to Eimee or myself, and we would love to keep chatting.
Yes. Got you.
Awesome. Thanks again, Eimee. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes, all of the yeses to everything Eimee said. It's always a pleasure. I really, really liked the conversation that she was having around it being necessary to challenge yourself to grow. You know, I find myself just getting stagnant in a lot of these things, being like, oh, I can still grow, but not anything be hard or, you know, feel uncomfortable with it. But it is necessary to feel that challenge in order to get somewhere else, you know, and also that these ideas present can still be present later, you know, so some of the older stuff that we're seeing in the later texts, and then the stuff that we're reading from current modern stuff, can all have some of these like unifying ideas. And it's really just about how we're applying them and where we're wanting to go. And I don't know, very layered conversation, but I think it's important. And I just love that she took some time to talk about it for sure.
Yeah, I love this idea that like dissonance and discomfort is really necessary in academic settings and in spiritual ones. So I just admire that a whole lot. So thank you, Eimee, and thank you for taking an inside look at a community dedicated to educating the next generation of disciples and scholars. See you next time on Inside the Honors College.